So hello, Manish.
Hello, Lucas.
Sorry, how do you pronounce your name? Manish, Manish,
Manish.
Manish. Okay,
Yeah,
well, I think I was right there.
yeah, you're right.
Uh, so first of all, I wanted to thank Mabel Gomez for connecting me and Manish for this interview. Because she recommended Manish after a visit to India, and I've actually never spoken to an Indian tango dancer before, so it's
Oh,
kind of a new thing also on this show that I'm making, and I think it's very exciting because India is quite a young tango scene, and we have this young gentleman here who will tell us all about it. So, can you maybe give us a short introduction of who you are, just to start?
yes. Thank you, Lucas, for having me to at Informal Tango Interviews, and Mabel, of course, for recommending it. So, yeah, as you correctly said, probably it's a very young community in India. We are still in at a very early phase in our tango life. So, for those who don't know, my name is Manish, and I'm from Pune city, India, and I've been dancing tango since last 10 years, and I also DJ at the local milongas here in my hometown, Pune city. And recently, since last couple of years, I'm also started to facilitate or to teach tango and share whatever we have learned so far, and try to build community after, especially after the COVID times. So yeah.
So I guess we'll hear more about that in this interview. So looking forward, and at least you have got yourself a painting there.
Yeah, that's a famous tango painting that keeps rotating in our community. It's done by a tango student, Nihar, and she painted it after she saw one of our teachers, Vagelis and Mariana from Greece, and she painted it there. And so yeah, it's always acts as as a backdrop, when the practica happens, and yeah, it's a nice way of reminding us about our teachers, about tango, about embrace. Yeah.
And you are right now in your studio. Or
Right now
you're
in my home studio. Yeah.
okay. This is where you teach, or
This is where I teach, where we practice, and it's a small studio with mirrors, and upstairs, there's a rooftop where we dance. And I think in lockdown times, I mean, we've had some few underground milongas where people used to come, meet, and dance. And so, yeah, I think this was one of the lockdown projects that I was looking for a space to practice and to be, and this was just like a perfect thing that happened at that time.
yeah, just for some reason it really looks like a dance studio. This is this decor around you. It's
Yeah,
yeah, it
somehow
seems
it's
really
just
designed to be that way. Yeah.
yeah, somehow it just fit in very well. So it has happened to me before also when I was in one of the Zoom calls and all that. It's like, wow, this looks like a very good frame, for so yeah,
Yes.
it goes well.
Yes. Well, that's great. Can you tell us maybe a bit about how you discovered tango, and how you got introduced to it, and maybe what you were doing before you discovered tango, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I think at the age of 18, I started pursuing Latin dancing, Latin ballroom dancing. So I used to dance salsa, cha-cha, merengue, a bit of rumba. That was like an introduction to partner dancing. And I danced for a few years. And I don't know, after some point, I mean, there was this search still on of of going probably more in depth of the dance or with the movements and with music. Probably somehow it never grasped me for for so long. After some point, there was this, it was getting boring for me. Like it was just so much of turning, so much of just, but there's no authenticity, there's no expression, there's no. So anyway, that's my personal way to look at it. And I had discovered tango through probably some music. I think I had some Gotan project at one point of time, and there was some beautiful melody piece happening, and it just felt so nice. I mean, and then, and I also I happened to watch a documentary on BBC. I think it was called La Confiteria Ideal Tango Salon. Like, it's a 2005 documentary, and I think I happened to see in my early formative years, and I was like, wow, like the entire world of tango, the way they dance, the connect, and old milongeros talking about it, their values or what they feel about it. I don't know. It just made a big impact on me. And but that time there was no tango as such in India. At least I couldn't find, particularly where I could learn tango. And so this is how at least there was earlier impressions of tango. Then somehow, slowly, there were some expat teachers. There were some Indian teachers here. We had some Auroville Tango Festival that happened. That for the first time got some teachers from abroad. So that's how the exposure happened to tango, really.
Okay, tell a bit about that festival for people who don't know.
Yeah, so Auroville Tango Festival is a yearly annual festival that happens in Auroville, which is in the southern part of the India. And it's a festival of up to like 180, 190, or probably 200 dancers come from all over the world to dance. And of course, Auroville also is a international community, so they have uh, people living from Europe there, and you should like look it up and see about the community there. So I think that's where my like a proper introduction or exposure to a milonga happened, and so those were my first impressions. And from there, every year we had a festival. Every year we had teachers coming at that festival, and so I think it really formed, or it was one strong point in everyone's life, tango wise, like that we always had this place to go to once in a year, to meet the same dancers, to meet familiar faces, to meet the teachers, and slowly grow as a community. So yeah, it's been like they did for 9 years, but I think last year it didn't happen, of course, for the obvious reasons. And yeah, so Tango Festival in Auroville is somehow we got really exposed to tango, and that's how it started. And of course, after some point of time, the teachers started visiting in Pune and other cities. And every probably 6 months or 1 year, we used to have some teachers coming from abroad. So I think we were lucky to get exposed to different styles of dancing, or people from different countries, from Italy, from Greece, from Argentina, from US, so also, some travelers, some dancers who happen to travel to Pune or come to India, they also show up at the milongas and all. So that's how I think everything gets connected, and it started growing in that way.
Okay, tell me more about that later.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
maybe explain who are we?
We, as in I speak like the tango community or the small community of Pune or India, like, because Auroville Festival, mostly all of us went there, like, all the people who were learning during that time. So as a community, but yeah. But I think for most of them, it was the festival and these teachers who made earlier impressions. Of course, there were few couple of local teachers who also used to teach in India, and so we had a varied experience and way of learning tango. But of course, there was always a lot of hunger and search to learn more, and to have consistent classes, and to really work on our tango. But somehow it didn't happen. So because of course the teachers come for 1 week, for 2 weeks, and you learn some new stuff and you practice it, and but then I feel to really grow consistently, you need to have like a consistent teacher at local workshops and milongas, to grow. So I think we had to get going by ourselves a lot. Like we had to take charge of doing practicas and milongas, no matter what, like, and to make it a local community, like a strong with local community, and not only about expats, people who come and they leave the city, and of course they are traveling and all. So yeah, it's been 10 years now. I think we're almost 10 to 12 years in Pune, and it's a small community, but really nice here in Pune. It's it's really sweet, and yeah. So to come back to your question, how did I discover tango? Yeah, through this string of incidents, and through Orville Festival, through documentaries, through like different teachers, I really got exposed to tango, and from there, that point of time, it was somehow no turning back. I mean, I didn't enjoy salsa or any other dances that much as I could, but tango, I don't know, there was something
What
so
was
much
it?
more about it.
Yeah, what was what attracted you to it?
To tango, uh, I would say, I mean, I think by nature, I like to be probably more calm about my dance or more easy about my dance, and I felt with tango that I could really take my time to absorb, to really get into the music and to express probably more, much more than I could with any other dance. And I, of course, when we heard from teachers, when they talk about how the movements arrive in your body and what happens, like the depth of it, of the movements or how it starts, that I think really was like a big turning point to view as an art, like how deep this is. Like it's not just about creating just some particular moments. So I think it was the depth of the dance. It was, of course, the music and these elements that I felt more drawn to tango, and also to know that it is not so simple, or it is not so, or rather, it is simple, but it's not so easy. That you have to work probably hard to achieve uh, like a smooth dancing experience, or like a really good, well executed movement. So I guess, yeah. So I guess I think there was some beauty of tango and the culture and the music, and however the teachers introduced us to it, that really got me hooked onto it.
So, was there something? So, what about the music? So, you mentioned the music. Is there something about the music that also attracted you, or not? Or
Yeah, I think music, first of all, it was not always about happy and joyful music. It was not just like beating of, or like just pure like rhythmic drums or anything. There was much more to it. Like there were violins to it, there was bandoneon to it, and when we heard teachers speaking about the music, of course, when I used to hear, I felt like there's so many other emotions as well, that probably we go through in our lives, and somebody is actually addressing it, like somebody is making an art out of it, somebody's making a dance out of it. And that somehow really appealed to me. I mean, I don't know, music somehow like kind of really pulled me in, even though of course I don't understand. I mean, the lyrics of it, I don't understand what exactly are they talking about unless I go and open up and like really look into it. But I think I somehow can feel, or it just translate, or it does speak to me about you know and it's very, I'm sure it's universal, it's felt across everywhere, the same emotion. And yeah, so I think I could just, by a person or something, I could connect more to that music, to orchestra based music. Yeah.
so so it also made you abandon all the other dancing things you were doing.
Yeah, somehow, yeah. Yeah, but I don't want to put any dance down, or any dance on a higher pedestal and down, because yeah, but I did feel more drawn to tango, and I couldn't go back to salsa, and or learning other partner dancing like ballroom dancing and all that, because it just it just didn't feel the same. And of course, as sometimes I do go to salsa evenings just for fun to dance and all that, but no, I think after tango, it's kind of, I think I found something here, and it's beautiful, and there's so much that I can learn here, that I can explore. And yeah, I mean, it's not the same. Yeah.
So how did become I become we? Because first your story starts with I, and then it's quickly changes into we. So how did you get all these people together on your own journey? Like it's not just your journey. It seems like it's not just you, but it's more people.
Yeah, now that you say it, I'm realizing that I'm using the word we like more. But of course, also in Pune, we have a bit a more of a community approach where even if you have to organize something, we all talk, we all discuss, we want to do something. It's very friendly community and it's very warm. So maybe I'm addressing as we, and I feel more or less we all on the same in the same time in our journey. Like we all kind of started together, and we are pretty much pursuing similar things tango wise and how we want to grow from here. So yeah, there is a strong sense of community in Pune at least. Yeah.
But that's very interesting because almost everyone I know always talks about I and me when they're
I,
talking about their tango journey.
I guess since we are just few of us here, so it's somehow
Yeah, you have
collectively
to.
just becomes we, you know.
Yeah, but you have to create something out of nothing. So I've realized this before, but I've talked to some tango pioneers who were pioneers in the 90s or maybe even the 80s. But you were
Right.
a tango pioneer around 2012. I mean, that's a different story, but still, it's also similar that you have to something I've never experienced, that you have to build up something out of nothing essentially. And now yeah, this is much more recent, so it's very interesting that something like that exists because I didn't know, even though I could have guessed that there would be places like this. Um, this is a very clear example of how that works. And yeah, you are young, and yeah, you had to kind of like just create all of this yourself, even though you were not alone, but you're probably one of the leading people.
Yeah, and of course, and there are others, you know, who also gave a lot of time to this vision or to this community, and who voluntarily, like, you know, probably also give time, and somebody opened their doors to have practicas, you know, somebody like whoever could do whatever, you know, they all came forward and offered either their spaces or like, you know, their time or some efforts to organize a festival, you know. So I think that's what really I think holds us together, because we know that we are here to do something out of love of it, and not that we're gonna have any different motives out of it. Like it's purely out of love. And then if somebody starts doing it, then the other person starts doing it, then the more people start doing it, and then it becomes like, okay, can we also do this? Can we do that? You know. So I think it was very natural that we went into this format, and of course we've had, like, you know, like for example, there's this lady Ishana. She's an American lady based in Pune, but she always opened her, like, you know, her space, her home for practicas, like every time, like, you know, once in a week for at least 7 years, like, you know, always making sure there's coffee, there are cookies, you know, everybody's dancing and all. I mean, it's something not everybody probably would do, you know. And she did it for the love of it, for people, and how she. So I think all these things, when we saw, as when we were entering the community, this kind of thing got passed on, like, you know, that we understood that this is the value structure we have to be in, you know. And so from there it just grew organically like that, where more people came together, more dancers. So yeah, it's been, I still feel we are very, in 10 years, we have come a little bit far. Today, I mean, after 10, 12 years, we are a community of I would say on an average, at least 40 dancers, 40, 45 dancers who come pretty regularly. And all those who come are pretty much everyone is really into tango, like, or some of them have given a lot of time to tango, to study, to travel, to really investigate. And so they're really sincere about learning tango, which is, I think, like very rare and important virtue quality to really have that, because I think it's very infectious when people are sincere about it and all. That kind of spreads to other people. If the organizers are very casual about it, if the dancers are very casual about it, then somehow the entire vibe energy is very casual. So it's nice that tango is always here, the focus here, it's in between, and everything is happening around it, like, so yeah.
But it's not like you were the leader. Like there's no leader or
No, 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 no. There's no concept of the leader. I mean, I could be one who probably initiates some things, or may just make things like, talk to probably places for milongas and all that, or teach, but we don't have this format of like one person leading. It's more like a community where few people decide of how we're going to go about it, how we're going to plan some stuff. So no, there are others as well, who help me out and who make this happen.
so it's like an organic growth.
Yeah, very organic. Yeah,
It's like an organism that just expands itself in some way.
yeah, and we are very curious to find out ourselves, like what's going to happen now. Like, things are changing, and like, people are getting more ambitious. People want to dance. You want to do more events. How can we make it more inclusive? How can we make it also more commercially sustainable? How can we like, now all these questions are coming up, so things are changing, and we are also like now slowly changing or adapting to this newer situations. For example, earlier people used to just volunteer from their time, like, okay, you have free time, you can volunteer your time for this work and all that. There was no compensation and all. But now I see more people devote time into it, like, they work to it, be it whatever marketing or be it administration work, so we feel that we should also have some kind of compensation model as well, where people who are working towards it or putting their time into it, they should also feel compensated in some way. So to organize events like that, but it's all process we all going through, and we are learning, and we are trying to adapt like as time goes by. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I noticed early on in the conversation is that you were talking about tango in your city or tango in your region, but you were also talking about tango in India in general, and India is a huge country. But
That's right.
it seemed like you were also connected to tango in India in general, or that there's just not a lot of tango outside of where you live, like something like that is my impression. But
Right, right. So I would say tango in India is probably it started in early 2000 in India. If I have to see, probably maybe it started, somebody used to teach in Delhi, then maybe in another city in Bombay. I mean, I know in Pune it's been 10 to 12 years, but there's been other cities where probably some teacher might be teaching something, or some workshops have happened. So we, as an overall Indian community, is maybe on an average 15-year-old community, I mean, collectively, like, and and of course there are different cities in India which have some tango. We have Bangalore, we have Bombay, we have Delhi, we have Hyderabad, which is also a young community. We have Goa, which is also a new upcoming community. So things have started to pick up in these different cities, and I mean, my exposure has been mostly in Pune and in Auroville. In Auroville festival is probably where probably people from dancers from all the cities came together. So there were dancers from Hyderabad, from Delhi, from Bombay. It was like a get together of all of them. And then And then we organize events like, sometimes Bangalore city will organize an event and all the dancers will go there from different cities. Then something might happen in Goa, then everybody goes there. Then we do our annual festival in December, then a lot of them come here. So we try to support all the communities and make sure that we have more participation.
But honestly, that sounds a lot better than it's natural that it isn't like this in Europe anymore. But I feel like here people can be very divided in one way or another, or they're
Because
just
maybe
too
there are so many people out there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's just crazy to think how it sounds almost like what's the word like some kind of utopia. And the way you talk about it, and of course it probably isn't because utopias don't exist, but it's really funny how you all seem to support each other.
Yeah, I mean, more or less, of course. I mean, there will be some differences in city, or there might be a lot of distance to travel in the city. So some may not go to some Milonga, some may go to some. These things can happen naturally, but as much as we can, if we have a group of all the organizers like in Tango India, and if you're doing an event, we at least try to intimidate before, like, okay, we are planning something in October, like, please don't try to do something around that time, try to come to my city, or so that way, because we are hardly a few dancers, and it will be nice to have an event with at least 200 dancers from, or at least all the tango dancers in India, like, put together. I mean, that would be something beautiful. So I think everybody wants that. It's just we are slowly trying to figure out or work it out between us and how we can. I mean, slowly it's becoming like a tango calendar. Like, okay, December, this city, January, this city, so it's becoming like more or less everybody's taking their own space and their time and events and to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but on a national level, this is such a marginal community. Of course,
Yeah.
it also is here because I mean, the average guy on the street has no idea what tango is, but still, it's in your country, it's even more primitive in a way. But that's
Yeah, yeah.
also what it makes that people are just more maybe more cooperative or something. I don't know. It's just a really interesting story, and I've really never heard this before. But yeah, it's really great to know that apparently there's a place out there where it works like this. And
Well, I mean, so far it's working. Let's see how when things become bigger and there are more teachers and there are more organizers, how the dynamics change. And I mean, yeah, let's see how with time it goes. So far it's growing, and I think it's very important that at least whatever happens, I mean, at least whoever, if a new dancer is coming to a milonga or to a city, they see that here everyone's sincere about tango, or tango is first here, like, and then whatever is happening is different, but the focus at least shouldn't go away from tango.
so, can you tell me a bit more about how from the beginning this like teachers coming from India, from abroad, how this all worked, how all of this worked, and how you developed your own style, something like that.
Well, yeah, I would start with teachers coming to India. We've always had, I think, teachers coming to India from different countries since last few years. I think it's very, I mean, that way we have been very lucky to be exposed to different styles of dancing or different teachers, like, and to pick up what we think is really nice out of it, like, so it's been very versatile that way to be an exposure. And there have been couple of Indian teachers who used to start at the beginning, who used to teach in the beginning, and then with time, like, the teachers from abroad started coming in and they started teaching in Oroville Festival. Then they started coming to city, and Yeah, I think there was a time where every 6 months we would have some visiting teacher from different country, which I think is amazing, because if I have to compare this to any other dance form like salsa, hip hop, or ballroom, for example, you don't see so many teachers, international teachers coming here and teaching. I mean, they have to either travel abroad and like to really go and enroll themselves to a school or like, it's I don't see it anywhere else. But with tango, somehow we got very lucky that the teachers wanted to come to India. They really liked India. And they wanted to travel more. So I think it's been the tango scene today has been contributed by a lot of teachers from different places. And yeah, I mean, it's just like it's been some time now, like 2 years, over 2 years, that we haven't had any international teacher coming to India yet. And we still feel like, we need the need of wanting those mentors, where we could get more guidance or, teachers with more experience if they can come a little bit more often. So this is what we are feeling for some time now that we haven't had any teachers. But at the same time, we are locally, we are trying to share with whatever we know, of there are few local teachers here in Pune and Bombay. And so we at least we are trying to build some community or some dancers who can dance regularly, who have been really keen and invested in tango. And so when the teachers come, that you already have a lot of people wanting to, improve and progress. Yeah. What was the second part of your question, Lucas? That you talked.
Maybe about how your own style developed because of.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I think if I have to see my style of, I don't think it's purely one style, or is it's more salonish or it's more milangarish, or I think with different teachers, I have taken something different from different, like, different styles. Like, there are some teachers that I like some figures to do in more salon way. And of course, with the music as well, it feels probably the salon figures or the salon posture goes very well. With with some teachers and with some, of course, when you dance some music, early music, it's more milangaro style and more like, the way we've been introduced to milangaro style. So I think it's a mix of all that. And also, I mean, when we dance, when we practice, I'm also looking for my authentic way of moving, or what naturally I comes out of me to dance. So I think my style has been inspired by different exposure to teachers. And I don't know, I mean, I also experimented a lot with more like fluid style. Like, sometimes I just experiment where I'm more fluid in my upper body and not like very stiff and like, like really stiff. Then what all can I movements I can do in my upper body. So I mean, it's something we experiment and we see what we naturally feel like moving. Or I feel like moving. Actually, I'm talking about myself, my style. Yeah.
Does your community generally dance in close embrace, or do they dance in open embrace, or what does it look like?
I think it's mostly close embrace, except few new students who have just started.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
they dance in open embrace, but otherwise it's close embrace, and and it feels they're really into the embrace, and they few of them, of course, as I said, it's a very small community.
But the people you have, you feel like they're, you already said they're really enthusiastic about learning and doing it well.
Yeah, they're quite enthusiastic about learning or wanting to improve, and it's a young community. These are all young people. Of course, today you have exposure to so many cool videos, new tango, teachers coming up and all. Everybody wants to try new stuff and all that. But at the same time, everybody also wants to like embrace, or also wants to, feel more connected to the partner. And there is also an attribute like that. So So it's nice. I mean, it's nice. It's really, I'm also curious to see who who really stays, who really wants to learn more, or some they don't have patience, or they leave, or they feel like no, tango is not for me, it's too difficult for me. So yeah, it's just slowly it's we are getting to see how who leans towards what and who's more curious to learn. And recently we started like asking students to perform at the milonga. Like last milonga we had our first student performance, and it was really sweet, it was nice. And I think at least they met, they practiced, they listened to the song hundreds of times, and they get to express. I think it was nice too. So maybe I think we'll do that more often. That yeah.
I'm trying to remember what I wanted to ask, something specific. Um, uh, that's hard sometimes.
Yeah, I think you were talking about the dance style and how we developed the dance style, and I was saying that how we got exposed to different teachers, and somehow everybody kind of developed their own style. Some like to dance more salon like, and there are some dancers
I
who
remember, I remember. But
yeah,
maybe you wanted
very
to make a
fantastic.
new point, or were you just? I felt
No, no,
like
no.
that.
I was just saying that, yeah, that how there
Summarizing.
are different dancers dance a little bit different style. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, one thing that's very interesting from your story is that it seems to be a lot of young people, which is pretty much impossible in the Netherlands and a lot of other Western European or Southern European countries. I think in Eastern Europe it might be a little different, but here it's generally an older generation. And
that's true.
we talked once before, um, and you told me that is maybe because a lot of people who started in the 90s or something when they were young, they're now older. I mean, that's logical.
Mm.
Um, but even a lot of the beginners in our country are like the dancers who are in lessons. They tend to be older couples. I don't mean they're 80 or something, but like 50, 60. I mean, that's maybe a bit younger sometimes, but that seems to be the average age. So it's very fascinating to me that when I would think of you and your community, I would see you look quite young. But I would imagine maybe a lot of people who are 50 or 60, but it doesn't seem to be the case. I think you have a lot of young people on board. So that's true, right?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think mostly most of them are between 25 to 40, I would say. Of
Yeah.
course, we have few people about that age as well, but typically, yeah, it's more the average age is, I think, probably 28, 30s might be the average age, and they've either danced like, some folk dance before, or some have done some martial arts before, or some have done some kind of different kind of dancing. So, and now they have come to tango. So it's really nice that they have discovered something at a very young age, and they're in a phase where they want to know more, they are curious about more. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, in the beginning, it all looks great. It all looks very tempting because our milongas, whatever we do, also has a very nice vibe to it. Like has a very party vibe to it. That you really have a good time. I mean, also people are laughing. The mood is really good. Like it's not like, oh, I won't talk to you, or no, you are like this, or like I'm in my world. No, I mean generally they're more friendly. They're more people talk to each other, and then we do some projects together. Like we would probably, like recently we did a tango, like a tango paint project together, where we all came together and we just painted something with our feet, like all the figures, and like so somebody came up with an idea, a tango friend, and we did together. So we bond also over different activities, so it's become like a nice vibe of people trying to come together to do something. So sometimes it's just a click. Sometimes it's just like wow, like everybody wants to do pretty much similar thing, they all want to watch a movie together, like a tango movie together. So sometimes we may do like a screening of a tango movie together. So yeah, maybe young people have more time in hand or something, I don't know, they're free, or I don't know, they
But
don't have
they
so
might
much,
have a bit more energy, I guess.
they have more energy, and probably the kids are not waiting at home, or you don't have to pay like too many bank EMIs, or I don't know, they're more relaxed and more easygoing, and so it's nice. It's nice. I think also things have changed in Pune, and I think maybe in other cities also. Like there have been big IT companies that have been coming in this few years, like last 5 to 10 years. There's a big boom of IT companies. So a lot of IT employees, all the startup people are here. And of course, they have money to spend in milongas. They have money to spend at the bar, at the drink, or the classes, which was not the case before, which was
Hmm.
still like, having to pay entry to a place or something. People used to still think about it. It was still a very still small town and all. But last, I think 5 to 10 years is a big boom, and you know, so people have money now. Young people have money now, and they can really spend on what they like, and their hobby and all that. So that dynamics have changed, of course.
But that might also influence the demographics of your
Yes,
yeah, of your scene.
of your scene, and also Pune is like a city to a lot of universities and colleges, and it's a young
Uh,
city. So a lot of
yeah,
young people come here to study and all that.
I guess that
So
there's one city in the Netherlands. Well, there's several university cities, but I've seen one
which
where
one?
there's a lot of well, you probably don't know. It's not a very big town. It's called Delft.
Okay, okay, no.
And no, it's a technical university for some reason. Maybe that attracts a lot of Tango people. I don't know, but they have a, or at least back in the day when I was living in that area, they had a lot of more or less in that area. There were a lot of people there, a lot of students there, and it was really interesting to see the difference between the demographics there and elsewhere. Um, and it really, I think it does influence the scene a little bit, what kind of people you attract. And it's not like I'm judging anything. Like
Yeah,
I don't think it's necessarily better than other demographics, but yeah, in your case, it's pretty useful because you have people who have some money to spend, and yeah, that really helps because otherwise they
yes,
might not come or they might not go to lessons, and uh,
yeah,
I guess yeah, tango can be a very expensive hobby, so
yeah,
um,
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, and also, of course, if you have to travel, especially in India, if you have to travel abroad to like get a decent
yeah,
exposure or to
yeah.
go to a decent milonga, it can cost quite something, than being in Europe or being in any other big cities.
But with these IT people, do you mean Indians or they're or
IT means like information technology,
yeah,
like
yeah, sorry,
the
I
IT
mean
sector.
the young people who work there in your
Yeah,
city.
young people work
You're referring to young people from India,
yes
or okay,
from
then
India,
they're
from
not
India.
from abroad.
No, 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 from
Okay,
mostly from India.
okay,
Yeah, some of them are already CEOs, who come. Some of them have their own startups, or they're doing a job, or they're doing a job as well as dance, and yeah,
but
more or less.
you do you also have other expats? Where you mentioned someone from America, but do you have other expats in your community?
Earlier, we used to have lot of more expats, but now just very few, like, handpicked. Some of them have left the country and they've gone back to their home country. But some of them who travel and come back to Pune, they somehow come to Milongas when they find out, whenever they are here. But there was a time when there were only expats dancing and probably just one or two Indians. That's about it.
Okay,
Yeah, I remember like one of my first lesson, there were like five foreigners, like one Indian teacher, and that's only me, like, that's about it. So
okay.
I was like, I still feel like, it's very exclusive. But then Yeah, things changed. Yeah.
But so it might be a bit of a rude question, but the people who have those jobs and are in your community, are they generally people who also stay, or do they also move to other cities, or like do they
I
really
think
feed your community for the longer term?
for the you mean for the people who are doing the jobs and
Yeah, yeah, the people
yeah,
who
yeah.
are yeah useful in a way to
Yeah,
build
I
a
think
community.
more or
They
less
stay.
more or less they've been in Pune, and of course either their home is here or their parents are here, so they prefer Pune. And Pune is also more relaxed life than compared to other crazy cities like Mumbai or Delhi. We still have like a good balance of like work life and
Uh,
nightlife. So it's a well balance. So I think people like that way. People like to be in Pune in that sense. We have a very active dance community, not just tango, like for like other salsa socials, kizomba socials, bachata social. I think that every evening there is a social, like which is like a new thing in Pune now, and people are dancing like every evening, which is great. I mean, never before we've had this kind of thing. So that way Pune is an attraction point, and of course when you become part of the community, and it becomes an extra reason to stay in Pune as well. It's like
mm.
I'm sure a lot of people decide where they want to go or be in which city because of tango. I think I have decided, like, okay, one of the biggest reasons that I'm in Pune, I think, is because of tango. Because there might be better opportunities somewhere in different cities and different that, but it's somehow what the tango here and the things that just keep happening, and the culture here, dance culture here, is just keeps us going in some ways.
Well, it shows how passionate you are about tango.
Yeah, and others as well. I mean, it's I think it's the only probably consistent thing in my life.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Well, I've heard that
let's
before,
see.
so it's not surprising.
Yeah.
There's some people, also relatively young people, who've become teachers, who are really like the only stable factor they found is their interest in tango, and that's why also they became teachers or something like that. So it's yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really, I feel like tango really offers this almost this lifestyle. Sorry, it's
yeah,
a little hot in my space here, so I'm just gonna put on the fan.
yeah, sure.
Um. Uh. Okay, let me think.
So we were talking about teachers from India, from teachers from abroad, but I could tell you my experience when I went abroad, and for the first time I get to, or rather my first impressions when I,
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yes.
so I remember like the Paris Milonga. I had gone to one Milonga in Paris, and wow, I mean, there was the space. I mean, I couldn't, just hardly any space to dance. It was just a crowded Milonga, and I wasn't used to that probably. I was still quite a beginner, but of course the kind of embrace I felt there, the kind of
Sorry, what
this
year was that?
this was probably, I think, 7 years ago, 7 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, or 6 7 years ago. Yeah. So yeah, I remember it being like such a crowded place, and still people are dancing like like really into it, and for me it was a little challenging to dance in a closed space, but I think somehow slowly I got like into it. But to see everybody dance at that level was amazing.
But was that a high level milonga, or was it a normal milonga in Berlin, or?
No, this was in Paris. Paris, this was, I think, quite decent level.
Okay. So
Of
you also
course.
told me about Berlin, but maybe
Berlin, yeah, I
I'm
think
wrong here.
Berlin was, I think, in 2007 or 8, where actually we got to spend some really leisure time in Berlin and to really take some lessons there. So yeah, man, it was amazing to see such amazing dancers with such good level, and I've had some of my really good dancers there. good tandas there in Berlin. And I guess people also come from different countries there to Berlin. So you don't know who you're going to meet. And yeah, I kept getting surprised, with dances, with different, and obviously with the lessons that we took, with the teachers we interacted with, and the mentors we were with. And so I realized that, that probably they have worked a lot in tango, the kind of level or the kind of details they're talking about is so interesting. It's so nice, like, to work on those levels. And every teacher had something different to say and different inputs to give. And so I think it was a very enriching learning experience, and to get exposure of like a real milonga with, that level of dancers. And yeah, it was really good. I mean, I think probably the turning point in my life, tango wise, I would say.
So which visit, to Paris or Berlin?
I would say Berlin, because I spent more time in Berlin. Like I was there for almost a month and a half, and
Okay.
to go to different milongas and dance in different school. And yeah, so because I think Paris was just one milonga, so obviously I didn't interact much, or I didn't got a chance to know the dancers intimately, or like, about the scene there. But Berlin, I think I spent more time, got friendlier to people. And then different city, probably I danced. I went to a milonga in different cities in Europe. And so overall I got an idea, like, how, wow, it's like hundreds of dancers dancing, and and good level of dancing, and sometimes you just wait, sometimes you don't get dance, sometimes you do, like all this world of, tango that we got to experience there. It was quite something. It was quite an experience. Yeah.
It was a new world for you in a way.
It was a new world for me. Yeah, totally, totally. And yeah, I enjoyed my time there. And I realized how little I know and how much I have to work hard. And this, and that's always the case, that I feel like, wow, they're talking about. I remember some musician was talking about counter melody, but then the chords that he's using in the melody, and all the minus chords, which the keys that he's not pressing on the piano, is the counter melody is pressing that, like the minus of that, or the negative space of that. I don't know, at that level, to understand chord structures, or to understand really at a deeper level, so it was really nice to be able to talk, or to understand, okay, wow, there's so much to it, and I had some tango mentors, and I had some teachers. And when they made me hear something in tango music, like, can you hear this? Can you hear that? And you start to hear, and your ears for the first time listen to a counter melody. It's like, okay, now I know what a counter melody is. And so how slowly, slowly things start opening more, and you realize there's so much more to it, than because it becomes so easy, when we are in India, in Pune, dancing with just few people every time, every week, again and again and again. I mean, in very short time, I don't think there's much growth happening. I feel it's pretty much we are the same level. You know, but when you go out, when you dance with other dancers, and your body experiences, like, different kind of dancers and different ways of doing stuff. I think it's a really good way of exposing ourselves. So I think really everybody would love to, or personally, I would love to travel more, and you know dance more, to just feel.
Yes, because then you experience more, and it can be harder
Hmm.
because it's really tough sometimes if you are on a certain level and you go somewhere else where they have a higher level, and you feel like you become a bit humbled in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, I miss going to a milonga where I'm a complete stranger, where I don't know anyone there.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's a nice feeling. I mean, then as compared to a milonga where you know everybody, and like, yeah, both has its own, of course, charm.
And is there anything else you brought home from abroad after that? Some insights or some
Yeah, I think a lot of insights. I think I've have a couple of diaries just filled with the notes, and like,
hmm.
wow. I think maybe a couple of very uh, like eureka moments or realization moments in tango. Like, I think for the first time I probably understood a little bit more about grounding, being grounded, what it means. And the teacher was saying like how you relax. If you relax more, you become more grounded. You throw more of your weight on yourself. And I did feel it like in the dance. If I relax my body, like, somehow I become more somehow heavier or denser, or I don't know, more grounded. And that sensation was different. So that was just one of the moments. I still remember how it's switched in me. I also remember like how probably I used to be more on my toes, or my weight used to be more on the front of my foot, or probably I used to lead more from my upper body. But then I also realized how here a lot of you are not always so much forward. You also a little bit, the weight also goes back to your heel. That just by transferring weight from your heels to toes itself, your axis is traveling, and you could still lead. Like, it's not that you're always on your toes and upper body. So there were some things that probably we had learned, or there were the different ways and different ideas. But I also understand why this was taught to us in the beginning like that, and how it kept changing. So yeah, I mean, there were few insights, of course, and these things become like part of you. Then after that, you like think, okay, yeah, now I feel probably I have to look at it a little differently. And that and yeah, I think just to interact with dancers, to talk to them, and I mean, I didn't ask for feedback because I wasn't really practicing there with anybody. And but then I realized that, yeah, there's so much that I can work on, or I can improve on, and I can start relooking at the things that I've been keep doing. So I think lockdown was a time where I actually practiced probably sincerely than any other time, where because probably we had no other option but to sit and practice. So that's where I think there was a little bit more investigation, and there was a little bit more looking inwards and seeing what's working, what's not. And I think this is a process that is going to always be there. It's going to always go on, and we'll always find newer ways or interesting ways to execute, or you know or more effortless ways to execute an ocho, for example. So yeah, I think I took a lot, but I don't think I could process it immediately there. It's like I'm being bombarded with so many things, but it didn't translate into my body. Like I took a note of it, I wrote it down, but I had to really, like, think about it or let it enter. I think that's why teaching, probably, I think I'm getting to learn more by teaching, because now I'm really getting to see like what I'm teaching or what I'm facilitating here, of what is working, what is not working, or am I giving them too much concepts, or am I. So it's an interesting procedure for me, as well, to figure out.
Then the brain needs time to process things. If you have learned something or you have gotten impressions or a lot of impressions at the same time on some kind of trip, like your brain just needs the time.
Absolutely.
Can you tell
Absolutely.
me some more about teaching? Like how do your lessons look like, or what do you focus on, or what do you think people should be learning
Hmm.
locally?
So I think
So you are a teacher, like in Berlin in a way? Like you have a group of students and you are the authority, or is it just like you are some kind of practica group? Or are you like really the guy who's teaching?
Yeah, in
Okay.
Pune.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So me and my along with my partner. So these days I've been teaching alone, but before that we both teach together. It's just been very recent, like just couple of years, that we actually start to take more initiative to teach. And yeah, I still feel that it's not my very strong point. And as teacher, I think it's a very big responsibility. So I look at it more like facilitating, or more like at least giving them some tools to get started with,
Hmm.
and then discover your own tango. So I feel if we are teaching, or if we are have given their roles, or if this is a role we have taken, to just equip them with the right tools and let them make their own tango, or the tools that we have learned, or what we actively practice, or what we actively believe in. So I think I remember when we started teaching, I think the first few classes, I realized that we used to talk a lot, and a lot of concepts used to come out. And I realized that probably this could confuse them. And then it's a lot of things to process and to put it in your body and to see it. Obviously, we learn from there, like, how to make them dance more or make them feel more. And, but this is something that we could learn only after we started teaching. So typically, how do the classes look like
So maybe
right
one
now?
one question do you only teach beginners or anyone?
I think beginners, or just like improvers with just like 1 year of experience or 2 years of experience. Yeah. But more or less, I think 60% over here are, I would say 50-60% are intermediate, and 50-60 is beginners. Yeah. So, but it's mostly we are teaching to the beginners, for the either to extremely like absolutely new people, or probably who have just done like one batch with us, like, 6 workshops with us. And then we get into, so we do series of like batches, like, probably level one, level two. And we don't necessarily call it beginner, intermediate, advanced. And so it's been a very recent thing. And now now these days, I think every Sunday I'm teaching a workshop. And I think of a topic or something that I feel needs to be worked on, and then we just talk about it, and we do some exercises, and facilitate that.
So that's the other question. Like, how does your lesson look like? So it's essentially like that. You mean?
Yeah, I think we like take one particular topic or something we collectively feel like I want to work on, or when I see them dancing the milongas, what could be. So I think I try to do two things. Like I do one soft side and one like technique side. Probably half of the class would be more focused on technique, and other would be like more talking about more like the subtle things, or probably the or how to do this on music, like, how more on musicality, or maybe fun exercises to just connect better, and and probably one half of the class to really show the technique of what exactly is happening and all that. So I try to keep it bit fun, light, and not like full power technique, like,
No.
I think also me, I don't think I have a mind of like a very analytical mind of like, breaking down everything like to the precise, to the T, like at this angle, do this and this, that. Maybe I don't think I have that kind of faculty in my head. I mean, I can break down to an extent, but sometimes I like to dance with them and show them like, what I mean, or how does it feel like, and, you know, and yeah, it's interesting to see how everybody is learning. Somebody wants to know exact details, somebody wants to know, to feel, in their body how it feels like. So it's interesting. It's interesting, and it can be also frustrating sometimes. I think with teaching, sometimes I feel that it may not. It takes time, and to have that patience and to see that I can see that they are still struggling, like that to understand really well, to do it repeatedly, till the time they get it. So I understand the process can take some time, but when you come to the milongas, then the whole environment is so much fun. You're not thinking about steps, and you're not thinking about, am I doing correct or wrong? So I think it balances out. I also feel there's a need to do something more technique oriented, like in few classes, I used to just make people stand in front of the mirror, and we used to do same things repeatedly, like be it just the projection, or be it very slow transfer of weight, or be it just the pivot exercises, be like just going on your, like to develop your ankle strength, just going up on your toes, and like things like that, or doing something in like double time, or like to do quick. I think this itself is really nice to be able to do alone, to be able to do it independently first, then to actually start with the partner and start leading all this double time stuff and all that. So I feel probably we need more of that, or I need more of that, you know, spend some alone time in front of the mirror and to do some drills again and again and again.
Yes, but you have the drive. Certainly, have the drive to develop all these things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's collectively we feel it, but of course, it may sound all like favorable and all, but there are of course times where you feel a little discouraged. You feel like, what am when am I, whatever I'm teaching, is it even like translating right or not? And are other people even not going away from the values of tango or not? I feel slightly responsible for that. And I also feel that I'm at the forefront of this, so I have to watch out more, I have to be more careful, or I have to be more aware of what I am showing, what I'm doing. I'm not in a position where I can just go and learn and do my thing and experiment. So sometimes I feel the pressure of that, and but I know end result, of course, it's someone has to do it, and if somebody facilitates this, others will also join, and at some point it will become a community where it doesn't depend on one person or two people
Yes.
or a group of people. So this is the idea, to make it more autonomous and to make it more self-sustaining kind of an organization, where it is not driven by one entity, one person, or one school as such, but everything is in place, the system is in place, but then these are the future goals, or something that we would work towards.
Yeah, in 20 years it might be different, right? It might just
Yeah,
be,
very different. Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
curious to know.
there's this whole aspect of community development, which is very acute in your case because it's necessary. But we
Right.
still have that in a lot of places around the world, especially not capitals, where you constantly have this need, like you need people to improve, but you also need people. Also need to grow a certain, yeah, a community in a way that people belong, and that some people have certain roles, like someone is a DJ,
Mm,
and someone helps an organizer, and someone is a teacher. I mean, it's pretty
exactly.
universal, and
Exactly.
it would be great if you could develop this to be more autonomous, like you said, to be more
Yeah, I
automatic in the
really hope
future.
so. I really hope so. Because then it will be really nice, then it will be like, okay, we have few DJs, we have some organizers, because everyone's skills are so different, so everybody can do what they are more inclined towards. I mean, that would be really nice. And I think
Yes,
that's the idea, that's the vision. Yeah.
that's a nice word in this case, vision, because it's really what it has been for you since the beginning. I feel like it's a vision of creating something from scratch, and then now you're 12 years later or something, and it's already way more developed than it used to be.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
definitely. I mean, we have come some long way. I mean, we didn't have any DJs, we didn't have any teachers. We had to like whatever, sometimes watch videos from YouTube and learn about something, or keep playing the same clip like 20 times, 30 times. What did he do? Like, where did his leg go and what? I mean, you had to figure out a lot by it. But now, of course, the new people who are coming in, they have regular practicas, milongas, and classes, so it's easier for them. So yeah, it's definitely in 10 years we have come to a much better stage, and I hope from here we still go forward towards getting more teachers here, getting more quality education, more where they can grow more tango wise, or their understanding of tango doesn't get limited to one particular teacher, because I still feel that some of them still have exposure of tango teaching only because they've been learning with me or with my partner. That's all tango they know. So they know very limited stuff. And it's very important that they get exposure to different teachers and they learn from all different teachers with different styles and all that, because this is how we kind of developed into this, that or the style became more versatile because we had such different teachers with different ways of explaining and this thing. So I also hope the new people get opportunity to learn from big maestros, maestras, and all the experienced dancers. I really hope so.
Yes. So maybe as a last question, a bit more personal. So I think you've talked about what you liked about tango in the beginning, and some of it's probably still true. But is there like in the present, how do you look at tango? What do you like about it? Why does it pull you so strongly? Why is it, like you even said, it's the only stable thing in your life? Why is it so? It might be hard to answer, but
Hmm. I'll try. Hmm. I mean, I would say if I have to just at some point play some tango music, or I would play in my car, or I watch a video or something, I think it allows me to go into that space where somehow it's very satisfying to be in. For example, especially when you're dancing, uh, of course, I feel is the most, like, it's the purest way to connect to a person. I feel like like without any language or without any particular context, I can still connect to somebody at a much deeper level, at a more emotional level. Or probably I find myself to be more emotional or sensitive person, so then I feel it's easier to, it gives me my language to, like, to express or to talk or to connect, where I don't have to like talk like adults or express like, particular ways. So I guess it becomes very natural way of like being or connecting, and I think I also like the spaces of this melancholic spaces, and these, I mean, I don't want to, I don't think happiness should always be celebrated. There are so many other emotions I feel also which are, can be looked at it differently, even if it is sadness or bitterness or like, nostalgia, I mean, I feel we can also celebrate all these other emotions through tango, or they try to bring you very closest to that experience through music, which is beautiful, and yeah, that's why I think, as I say, I always find answers to going back to the music. I don't know, it's the music that makes me feel more at home, or more peace. I don't know, it can go into any direction, but it's comfort, it's a space, and it still surprises me, and I still know that there's so much I can learn, that okay, this is not over yet, that I will dance the same song differently with different person. I know probably how the brain is reacting to it. For example, the brain is completely developing and like, adapting to newer situations and thinking newer stuff. Probably what you did before, you did it very differently. So I've also find like there's some sense of creative satisfaction with the dance, to be able to execute certain things. There's some kind of satisfaction I feel, which I don't think I found in anything else. That's why probably it's consistent, or rather the prominent part of our life. Yeah.
And how often do you dance per week?
I think on an average, at least twice a week, we have Milonga once a week and Practica once a week.
And you have a
And there is a
lesson.
class and I have a lesson. Yeah.
Okay. And you're really still like after all these years, it's not like it's been 30 decades, but I mean, it's still pretty long, 10, 12 years. Do you still feel like when you like one day before a practica or something, do you feel like, yeah, tomorrow I can dance again? Is there this sense of addiction for you?
Uh, I think off late, I don't think I've been feeling like that where I really, really want to like, oh, I can't look like I'm looking forward to the next practica or that. Like it comes in spurts and it comes in that. But before the Milonga, it's a very nice mood because I get very excited. I know the evening the Milonga is gonna start today, or probably I'm DJing. I mean, my mood has already started from the evening. I'll make a nice coffee, I'll make some tandas, and like I'm already in a mindset that I'm having a really good time, and I naturally feel that it's gonna be a great evening. And it's fun, it's fun. But it's not so much that that after one practica gets over that I can't wait for the next practica to happen yet. No, not so much.
But would that maybe be the different if you were suddenly in a big city abroad?
Maybe.
Okay,
Maybe.
there would be, yeah, because I guess the mind just gets used to certain experiences and then it sometimes looks for stimulation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
I think there's a predictability, and also who all are you are dancing with, things become more or less predictable, or structured. So that's the only thing that sometimes comes with this regularity.
yeah, and being the boss, so to say, like being in charge. That is
Yeah, in a way, or being, that's why I think I'm kind of now transitioning into this level, or I want to transition into the next level after this 10 years, to somehow, if this community can be more autonomous and can be more, and more people are already helping, but it becomes more independent, and it has different flavors. And for myself, yeah, I would like to go to new places, and I would like to, you know have newer experiences, and come back again and to share my experiences, with my people, and to say like, hey, like, this happened, that happened, and it's more exciting to go and come back. But I don't think anybody has traveled really much in last 2-3 years, and
no.
yeah, everyone's been home.
Yes.
And
I really hope for you that you can travel more in the future, even though it's very expensive.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe you should find a really cheap country somewhere where they have really good tango teachers. I don't know if it exists, but
Yeah, if you come across one, please let me know.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But let's
yeah,
see, let's see. There are some
yeah, yeah.
teachers who've been wanting to come to India. The local dancers here are being more enthusiastic. They want to learn, or they are traveling now abroad and they're coming back. So they're coming back with a lot of more energy and enthusiasm. Like, yeah, let's do it. So it's really nice, that when people go out, they travel, they come back with stories, with wanting to do. Then there's more enthusiasm. There's more energy to try newer things, and to, yeah, to experiment with newer concepts, or, yeah. But I think we need to grow more. We are still at a phase where I think another good 10, 20 people, when we have a regular milonga, so 50 people at least, it'll really feel like a proper milonga, like nice group of people, you know.
Okay. Well,
So I
maybe,
hope.
yeah, maybe I hope thanks to all your enthusiasm in this video, at least 10 listeners will now immediately move to your city. Who knows?
Yeah, come to Pune, Lucas. You also come to
Yeah,
Pune.
yeah, we'll all
I like
go
it
there
here.
and yeah, enjoy how enthusiastic people are, and it's really great. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for today.
Thank you, Lucas, for having me, and of also, like, trying to put tango in India on the map, on the world map, and to show others as well. There's something called as tango, that people do dance tango in India. They don't only ride elephants and they don't put snakes around their neck, but there's also tango in India, and we dance Argentine tango. Yeah. And yeah, thank you, man.
It's lovely to be an ambassador in one way or another, because you're just connecting people who weren't expecting to be connected in a way. Because people
Absolutely.
I didn't know about tango in India. I thought it would definitely exist, but I didn't know any details. And now I know more, so that's great. And I hope my listeners and your listeners, yeah, will have also gotten some new insights from this. So that's amazing. And yeah, I wish you a lot of luck in your quest.
Thank
And
you, man.
yeah, hopefully meet you one day. Who knows? The tango
Yeah, who
world
knows?
is small in a way.
It's small. Yeah, 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 yeah. It comes back, and I'm sure we will meet at some dance floor or somewhere.
Yes.
I'm
Well,
sure. And you're most welcome to come to Pune. I mean, everybody would love to have you here. You could DJ here as well. If you happen to come, that'll be
great.
really nice.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one
Okay.
day. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Bye.